Have you ever wondered what would happen if a true crime writer, someone who spends their days dissecting the darkest corners of the criminal mind, suddenly found themselves at the heart of a real-life mystery?
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting premise, right? I mean, talk about blurring the lines between fiction and reality.
Absolutely. Today we're taking a deep dive into a thriller that explores just that, a world where the person writing about crime becomes a part of it.
Buckle up, everyone, because we're about to unravel The Writer.
The latest collaboration from two heavy hitters in the thriller genre, James Patterson and J.D. Barker.
And we're not just going in blind, folks.
No, we've got some great material to guide us.
We've got excerpts from a promotional piece called Escritora, Patterson y Barker.
And a really detailed summary of the book itself.
So whether you're a thriller fanatic, curious about how these two incredible authors work together, or just looking to dissect the anatomy of a suspenseful plot, this deep dive is for you.
Let's start with the basics. The writer is being hailed as, the next big thing in thriller fiction, which makes sense, given the talent involved.
Right. I mean, James Patterson, the king of the bestseller list, is known for creating characters that stay with you long after you finish the book.
And let's not forget those gripping plots that keep you turning pages late into the night.
Oh, yeah. He's a master of pacing and suspense.
And then you've got J.D. Barker, who's gained international acclaim for his incredibly original stories, those mind-bending twists that you just don't see coming.
Exactly. He's got this knack for creating dark, atmospheric suspense that really gets under your skin.
So this collaboration, it's kind of a big deal. There's a lot of buzz around it.
Huge buzz, and deservedly so.
The book was released on July 1st, 2024, and it's already generating a lot of positive feedback, especially about the plot, which is said to be incredibly intelligent and complex.
Yeah, and, in the world of thrillers, a well-crafted plot is everything.
For sure. Now let's paint the scene.
Okay, set the stage.
We find ourselves in the luxurious home of Denise Morrow.
Denise is a successful true crime writer.
She spends her days analyzing the minds of criminals. She knows the dark side of human nature.
Knows it inside and out.
But then she comes home one day to a horrific discovery.
Her husband, David, has been brutally murdered.
It's a chilling scene.
Yeah, and enter Detective Declan Shaw. He's a seasoned investigator. He's seen it all, or so he thinks.
And the initial evidence points to Denise. She's found covered in blood, holding a knife.
Seems like an open and shut case, right?
But here's the twist. Denise have a rock-solid alibi.
An alibi that throws a wrench into everything.
It completely upends the investigation.
And to make things even more complicated, it turns out Denise is writing a book.
About a past case that Detective Shaw and his partner solved. So now you have this really intriguing dynamic.
You've got this hardened detective going up against a woman who, for all intents and purposes, dissects criminal minds for a living. It's a battle of wits, right from the start.
Definitely. And that rock-solid alibi, it really throws us for a loop.
I mean, it's not every day that the prime suspect in a murder case has an alibi that checks out so perfectly.
It makes you question everything you think you know about the story.
Exactly. Think about those true crime documentaries you watch. The ones where they present you with a suspect who seems guilty as charged, but then, boom, some irrefutable evidence comes to light.
And suddenly the whole narrative shifts.
Your perspective changes completely. You're left scrambling for answers.
That's what Denise's alibi does in The Writer. It's a game changer.
It forces both the detective and the reader to look beyond the surface, to dig deeper.
To consider motives and possibilities that they might have overlooked before.
Right, because clearly something's not adding up.
Now let's talk about Denise's book, the one about Detective Shaw's past case. It adds a whole other layer of complexity to the story.
For sure. It raises so many questions like, could Denise be using her intimate knowledge of Shaw's past to manipulate the current investigation?
It's a possibility. And then there's the question of whether Shaw himself might be influenced by the attention that Denise's book is bringing to his career.
I mean, think about it. You've got a journalist, right, investigating a controversial trial where a detective played a key role. And let's say while that journalist is working on their story, that same detective gets involved in a new high-profile case.
The journalist's knowledge of the previous case could definitely color their perception of the new one.
Right. It could even influence public opinion. And in The Writer, the stakes are even higher because the writer is personally connected to the victim.
So yeah, there's a lot of room for manipulation and hidden agendas.
Absolutely. Now, based on what we've read, it sounds like The Writer is a really well-executed, genuinely tense thriller.
Yeah, it's not a light read, that's for sure.
No, this is a book that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat.
Think about what makes your favorite thrillers so addictive. It's those unexpected events, the hidden secrets, the plot twists that you never see coming.
It's that constant sense of anticipation, the feeling that anything could happen.
And it sounds like the writer embraces all of those elements.
Definitely. And to make things even more interesting, the story is told through dual timelines and multiple perspectives.
Which adds a whole other level of depth and intrigue.
Right. It's like in those movies where they cut back and forth between the present and the past, slowly revealing the pieces of the puzzle.
Each perspective gives you a different glimpse into the characters and their motivations.
Exactly. So you might have one timeline following Detective Shaw's investigation in the present,
while another timeline explores Denise and David's relationship in the past, slowly uncovering the secrets and tensions that might have led to David's murder.
And by seeing the story through the eyes of different characters, you get a much more complete, albeit initially fragmented, picture of what really happened.
Now let's circle back to the fact that this is a James Patterson and J.D. Barker collaboration. I mean, that's kind of a big deal, right?
It's huge. You've got two masters of the genre, each with their own strengths, coming together to create something truly special.
As we've mentioned, Patterson is a master at crafting relatable characters, even in the most extreme circumstances.
He knows how to tap into human emotions to make you feel for his characters, even when they're making questionable choices.
And Barker, he's known for his originality, his ability to come up with these fast-paced, twisty stories that keep you guessing until the very end.
He's got a way of building suspense that's almost unbearable. You know something's coming, but you have no idea what it is.
So when you combine these two talents, you're essentially guaranteed a story with complex characters, an intricate plot with layers upon layers of mystery, and a pace that'll leave you breathless.
To really get a feel for how this might play out, let's imagine a few scenarios.
Okay, like where this is going.
So, remember Denise's rock-solid alibi. What if it's not as airtight as it initially seems?
What if, as the investigation progresses, little inconsistencies start to emerge?
A witness remembers something differently. Or security footage reveals a tiny detail that doesn't quite match Denise's story.
These small cracks in her alibi would start to create doubt, both in Detective Shaw's mind and in ours.
It would make us question everything we thought we knew about Denise.
And then there's Denise's book, the one about Shaw's past case.
Yeah, imagine if it contains really personal details about Shaw, things that only someone very close to him would know.
Or maybe it includes information about the case that wasn't made public, sensitive details that could be used to manipulate the current investigation.
Denise could be using her knowledge to subtly guide Shaw's focus, leading him down a specific path away from the truth.
And because she's a writer, she knows how to create narratives, to spin tales that are both compelling and deceptive.
It's a dangerous combination.
Now let's talk about those multiple viewpoints. Imagine a scene where Detective Shaw is convinced that a certain character is guilty. He's got evidence, he's got motive, he's ready to make an arrest.
But then, the next chapter shifts to that character's perspective.
And we see the situation from their point of view.
We learn that they're innocent of this particular crime, but they might be hiding something else entirely.
A secret that adds a whole new wrinkle to the story.
Exactly. And the dual timelines, they could be used to reveal all sorts of things.
Like, imagine the present timeline is focused on Shaw's investigation, while the past timeline takes us back to Denise and David's relationship.
We might see growing tension between them, maybe hints of infidelity or financial problems that they were trying to hide.
These glimpses into their past could reveal the motive behind David's murder.
And the way that Patterson and Barker weave these timelines together, slowly revealing these crucial details, it's bound to keep us hooked.
So to sum it all up, the writer sounds like a thriller with everything you could possibly want.
An intriguing premise that challenges your perceptions from the very beginning.
A cast of complex characters with secrets to hide.
A plot that's full of unexpected twists and turns.
And of course, the combined talents of two of the biggest names in the genre.
If you're a fan of suspenseful, intricate stories that keep you guessing until the very end, this one's for you.
It's not a book to skim through. It's an immersive experience that's going to pull you in and keep you captivated from start to finish.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, we're left with a thought-provoking question. Could writing about crime provide the perfect cover for committing one?
Or even be the motivation behind it?
It's something to ponder, isn't it? The blurred lines between fiction and reality, that's exactly what the writer explores in such a chilling way.
So if you're intrigued by this premise, as we are, definitely check out the writer. You might find some answers to the questions we've raised today, Or you might uncover even more mysteries waiting to be unraveled. Until our next deep dive, happy reading.
Happy reading.